Happy Easter, everyone. How you guys doing? Girk has risen. Nice bunny suit. Thanks, man. What the fuck was that? Happy Easter. So we're probably gonna have a little bit more of a rushed format today. Um, maybe. Since I was late. See if more people show up. I don't expect a lot of people to tune in, given that it's Easter. No new lady. Had to go out to Long Island. As a matter of fact, Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, I have to go out there as well. So the stream might start late both of those days. Okay, what the fuck is that noise? Don't worry, baby. I'm here. Awesome. What should we cover? This is how I celebrate Easter. You didn't even get yourself a chocolate bunny, Jen Jen? I'm so burnt out. I just sat on so much fucking traffic in Long Island for like the last 2 hours. Maybe you need the chocolate bunny. I had a chocolate bunny. You gotta treat yourself, Jen Jen. Dividend portfolio strats since you beat the dividend redditors. Wait, did I? I didn't even. Was there a competition? It's not hard to beat people who only buy SCHD and O. And all you had to do was sell O when rates started going up, and you would have beat them too. What about white chocolate bunny street meat? Now you're the racist. Fixing up the house? No, I had to drive out there and turn something on. I did not expect to get stuck in traffic. But I've got the pool guy coming out Tuesday morning to start working on that, and then I had to turn the breaker on in the house to make sure that like all the electronics in the pool house were working. I heard T had a huge data breach. Yeah, they did. Yeah. We're about to get T on sale this week. I mean, I hope, but who doesn't have data breaches nowadays? As concerning as that is, let's move beyond that and just focus on the fact that T-Mobile had one last year. Experian, Equifax, Google. You're always right. I wish. Plus, the vast majority of info is from previous users, not current. I mean, for all of you guys really worried about it, I just want to take the time to say that I've never owned or subscribed to any AT&T service ever, and it feels great. T-Mobile's been hacked 3 times in the past 10 years. Yeah, no one gives a shit. I doubt it would even generate very much like legal liability. It's the dark web, Gen Gen. If it was black, you wouldn't be able to see anything. I got $2 from the settlement. Nice. I don't think I remembered to file. You know what I meant? I mean, we've currently got a really contentious argument going on about white chocolate, so I prefer yellow chocolate. Huh. Is that what they call you on Long Island now? No, but there was a no. I hope not. It'd be a weird nickname to carry around. I don't. Whoa, whoa, whoa! There was a what? I'm not gonna get into it. How's everyone been? Has it been a fun weekend? So PCE, how about that PCE? I feel like I posted a 20-minute video yesterday that really describes how I felt about PCE. It's mixed, right? So, but not good. It's still hot. It's like hot as fuck. It's like 0.3% month over month. And this is reporting the period where oil had cooled off a little bit. We were back under 80. It was a segue away from yellow chocolate. I wasn't serious. Oh, okay. That's not when you just brute force it like that. It's not really a segue. I ate a cannoli. Can you describe the mouthfeel? Since you gifted me membership, I can catcall you on the weekend now. Excellent. That's the whole point. I saw Matty Matheson, don't know who that is, made a video where he started selling his own brand of mac and cheese today, and now I'm mad you don't have merch for me to buy. Win Pifi cutting board or pickles. Me and the quads might discuss this a little bit today, but at some point in the near future, I'll show you something. I'm going to show it hard too. Pifi branded rope. Huh. We'd have the best merch shop. VWAP hats and nooses made out of ties the color of JPAS. VWAP thongs. VWASP honey. That's just dried soda from a New York City trash can. I forgot to note the mouthfeel as my pupils dilated and I lost feeling in my left arm. Huh. It's an intense cannoli experience. Are you sure you were chewing on it? I still won't like the stream, though. You know what you need to do. I do. And while it is a bit warmer today, the chances of me taking my shirt off are near zero. Oh, thank God JFresh is here. Hey, man.
What's going on? Anybody here?
I mean, you are.
Well, yeah. I guess you are too. That's all that really matters.
Yeah, I have you turned way the fuck up from the other day when you were in that shitty hotel room. Hold on. All right, there we go.
All right, how's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's way better. It's nothing on your end. I have your like user volume blasted on fucking Discord.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. So what anybody asking any questions?
No. Mostly excited about a merch store, which I never said. They want VWASP honey and VWAP thongs. Squamsk had a stroke after eating a cannoli. Jen almost said something racist, but we caught her and saved her.
That's good.
Costellosaurus says, Happy Easter Resurrection Sunday. Are you going to hide eggs with money for us to find today? I can't wait for you to shill hard to the pigeon whales. Q. Yeah, I made mention that we might be shilling something in the near future.
Oh yeah. There could be some shillery afoot.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm excited to put my shill cap back on, honestly.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Okay, so this week I'm trying to think about like what there is to really be excited about. I mean, this last week was a 4-day week. Volume was really low.
Holy shit! Are we talking about stocks?
Oh, were we not supposed to do that?
I mean, no. Go for it. I'm just surprised.
Well, I've just been thinking about it today.
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just really bored right now. The market's going up on low volume. People are pulling back, but it's not showing up yet. Just apprehensively sitting just bullish enough to ride the train, ready to jump at any moment.
One person brought up PCE, and that wasn't good.
No, right? I mean it's not great, right? But we're in that zone where we've been in this zone a few times, but we're definitely back in that zone where there's enough uncertainty in the data that you can fit your narrative. Everybody can fit whatever narrative they want to it, right? I mean, Paul Krugman, I love it when he tweets.
Are you getting in fights with Nobel Prize winning economists again?
No, I'm beneath him. He won't ever acknowledge that I exist, but he hasn't blocked me yet, so I think that's
a step. Yeah. He probably manages his own Twitter.
But he's added to his list of things to exclude from inflation. He's moved on from components of inflation to times of the year. So we now, if we exclude all of the components that he likes to exclude, and we exclude winter, inflation looks good.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the Fed's You know what's funny is I noticed that the Fed has started doing that, which I thought previously and immediately proved myself wrong. The Fed was above. I thought they were above the behavior of economists, specifically excluding significant periods of time in order to make the data look better. Nope. JPOW refuses to talk about any inflation after November 2023,
Yeah, it's
which
unfortunate.
I think is hysterical.
He needs to see more data.
Yeah, he needs to. Well, you know what it is in November of 2024 when the base effect is gone and inflation is sky high, then he can be like, "Oh, this doesn't look great."
I mean, that's the thing with the Fed, though, is they're always going to be behind, right? That's just the nature of the beast. They need too much data to be proactive, right? And
Yeah,
so, and this is something I brought up many times. It's not rational to think that something with that much of a lag, that uses data with that much uncertainty, ever has any hope of stabilizing the system. I just don't think they really do much of anything other than just drive sentiment. The only thing that they can control immediately with zero lag is sentiment. Everything else has a lag that's just too long to do anything. And right now they're not really doing anything about sentiment. So I guess we're gonna get hot prints again.
yeah, yeah. A hotter and hotter prince. Yeah,
Yeah.
consumer spending was the one I thought hit the hardest, and I think the market. I agree with pretty much everything you're saying, but I think the market is, and we're seeing this in the options data, in the macro options data that you're publishing. We're seeing it day to day in the positioning, right? That we're just sitting there watching, right? And some participants, I'm not going to say all, but some participants are definitely not on board for another round of this shit, right? They're pulling back, they're protecting their asses, and I think it's becoming more and more apparent that the Fed is not going to do anything, and if the market wants to correct, it's up to the market, right? Obviously there's outside influence on that. You have Bank of Japan and stuff like that, but I mean, we're definitely seeing less aggressive call positioning. We're seeing, fewer sold puts supporting. We're still seeing those declines in leverage, right? Or did that bump back up again?
I'm pretty sure that call leverage has stayed low.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and so I think participants a little bit are taking it on themselves to manage some risk. Um, we briefly saw vol like cash VIX shoot under 12 there or under 13 there for a minute, but it's having a real hard time staying down there. It's really not the same as it was back in like November, December. So this is a different, maybe slightly more moderate period, but probably still bullish until something breaks.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the trade is getting so overcrowded now that most participants are aware that they are just part of the mob.
Yeah, yeah. And the more you have, running to get some protective hedges, the more attractive those protective hedges get, right?
Mm.
I think JFresh is gone. I don't know what happened to him.
It's because I showed up.
No,
Okay.
I'm here, but yeah, I'm in and out.
No worries. It's Easter.
My house is a zoo.
It is, yeah. Are you wearing Easter bunny ears?
No,
Oh.
unfortunately not. But we did do the Easter egg hunt and all that jazz, so got that done.
Any thoughts from JFresh, Jork, or you on JPM rolling the calls out 6% and not 5% this time? Yeah, that was interesting, actually. The puts weren't as far. The puts were like 5.5, which I think is still within um the boundary. But the 6% to the upside was a bit that was a bit strange.
I'm sure they're just pissed off about their caller constantly getting fucking blown out.
Yeah, they may have had they may have had to adjust.
Yeah, I
It
don't
does
know.
it does
I mean,
put
it
the
doesn't.
put delta a bit closer to the money.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it largely doesn't matter.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way about the collars. They're only really important when we're trading near them. Um,
Yeah, because it matters because other people think it matters.
yeah,
But
yeah.
from like a mechanic standpoint, when both sides of the trade are delta hedging, which is basically what they're doing, it just can't. It all cancels out. So there's there'll be some weird jerkiness to it to trying to hedge those huge positions, but for the most part, I just don't think it does anything.
I
And
think
we always spend all of our time at or above
yeah.
the calls lately, right?
Yeah, that's been the theme for the last year or so. Is the overall return of the S&P has greatly exceeded the overall return of the hedged returns of the S&P, right? I mean that's what JEXQ or JEX is, right? It's just volatility hedged S&P 500 returns. I mean I said this before and I think it's still pretty true is it kind of acts like a little gamma neutral point. It's not quite as big as actual gamma neutral, but sometimes it's bigger than, like maybe gamma neutral on like the weekly. Like
Yeah,
like a short term little gamma neutral where there's a little bit of different hedging behavior below it, a little bit different above it, but once it's in the dust, it's gone. And then on the put side, that's also true, right? Like if you have a massive pile of puts and they're picking up delta, they're gonna drive price down a little bit. But if you move back above them, they're gonna drive price up a bunch. Like it's not really. But everyone else in the market is, playing around the straddle, right? So like if JPM's selling their collar 6% out of the money, you can bet there's like another $1 billion in capital being thrown into sold calls just above their collar, right? And
yeah,
there's gonna be bought puts just above their puts and like so on. And so a lot of people want to use that big defensive wall to position, and that's where you get the volatility and stuff that surrounds those crosses. But they
yeah,
followed up
not
with a
really.
pump. No, what, on Friday after the roll? I mean, there was like a pump into close and then it collapsed. Yeah, Friday just ended up not being all that interesting. The data wasn't really very good, or Thursday rather.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Friday or Thursday, wasn't it just like like from open to close, it was like $6?
That was super. It was pretty awful. most of last week was really flat, with the exception of like I think Wednesday we actually traded some range, but it was a pretty rough week, and it pretty much closed right where it opened. I guess there's some technical significance to where we rejected from. That's theoretically like another fucking diamond top. Although we've failed to see those come to fruition so many times now that I'm not entirely sure I believe they ever will.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like the chart Dork made a long time, or someone made it,
I think it was
where
May,
they
where it's
just
just diamonds all the way up.
no, the chart of all the different technical indicators, and they all just
Oh
break
yeah,
up.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was dork. That was dork.
Like,
yeah.
yeah, seeing a bear flag break down is so weird these days. It's funny that it's actually kind of happening a few times now, whereas before it just never happened.
I actually hate that because like now I'm like I'm over trying to play the rationality in the market, right? And I'm just like I'm gonna buy fucking calls because this bear flag's gonna break up. despite the data saying it's not going to, right? And then it breaks down, and I'm just pissed.
Yeah.
It's all shitty. The market fucking sucks right
In
now.
my opinion, buy long-term calls 1% into the JPM calls, then profit. Well, like all things that have happened in the past, just because it's worked before doesn't mean it'll work again.
Yeah, and probably once people here that listen to this are getting in on a trade, it's probably pretty dried up.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I think the inverse pickle jar has some real alpha to it. It's a sense of like when the biggest dummies in the market have caught wind to a strategy. No offense to, well, I guess it is offense to you guys. You're lovable dummies though.
None taken. You've drawn a straight line up every week for over and somehow been wrong every time. But we only have gone up.
I'm in good company. I'm in good company.
Yeah.
No, I drew a line down this week. It's the one week that I didn't do flat. I should have just done flat.
Yep. Which left me the winner yet again.
Can we talk about...
If you'd done flat, you would have beat me.
I know.
Yep. I would have gotten wrecked. What's up?
Can we talk about Wednesday?
What about Wednesday?
That it was fucking crazy.
It was.
Well, not only Wednesday, but like the close of Tuesday into Wednesday was just absolute bananas.
Yeah, yeah, the big drop.
It was like a huge drop, and then the market just gapped up like insanely for what I could only aptly describe as no fucking reason. and then at the end of the day, it just fucking piss rocketed and blew up the fucking short vol saddle to the upside.
Yeah, and then did nothing on the next day, right?
Yeah, and then it just went completely flat because everyone was like, just no one wanted to actually lever into short vol in any direction because then when they have to like close it intraday to take their gains, they're afraid the market was going to crash or fucking mow ass again.
We did get a new all-time high.
That's true.
Right at the end. Although we then failed back below the prior all-time high.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, that was weird. That was just like, that was like $250 billion in the last, what was it? Like the last like 20 minutes of the day.
It was over the course of about 45 minutes, the market maker had shifted by, $250 billion.
Yeah.
That's perfectly normal and cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Dude, like that's just so much. It's just crazy to think of like the tide of money shifting so much from the 0 day to expiry fucking chain. Like,
I will say that those calls were like 5 cents at one point, and then they were $15. But you know, it's
so it is just answer.
I mean, just from the perspective of hold on, I have to say, I mean, just from the perspective of hedging. $250 billion just on 0 DTEs. I mean, the whole market is probably, I mean, the whole chain was probably like over $500 billion or close to it.
Yeah.
Who's big enough to even do that?
The market makers.
They did it all at once.
Yeah.
It was there was I mean I was just sitting there and like watching the price drop, and I was like, ooh goody, we're gonna get a new low. And then all of a sudden, like the 25 30 35 40 calls just exploded. And
that was crazy. That was insane what happened with those calls, dude.
Yeah, and then we went up 50 basis points in fucking 30 minutes.
Yeah, they bought so many calls. It was just mind-blowing how many calls were bought at those strikes. Like, and it just like it. So this goes back to my question, Gert. is it a crowded market when a single expiry of an options chain takes up more than 50% of the total options volume in the entire options market?
I mean, you don't need to ask me questions that you can answer yourself. But I will say, that bears set themselves up for it on Tuesday.
Up for fucking like 100,000 calls to be bought in the span of like 3 seconds.
I mean, they were really cheap though.
So they're cheap because the odds of us going there were 0, and then someone decided.
Well, until you buy 100,000 of them, and then the odds are drastically increased.
Oh my god! It just goes to show how fat these tails are on the 0DTs at this point. That can happen. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, these like I remember a long time ago when Jay Fresh came to us and he was all like, guys, look, I've statistically figured out where the market is gonna close every single day. And after 3:30 p.m., we're never gonna move more than 1 sigma. And then ever since like that day,
it was 2 or 3 sigma. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was like
started blowing it out.
Yeah, we've just started having like 5-6 sigma moves into close ever since the day he presented us with that.
That was one of my favorites. Yeah, that was great.
But what's cool about this is it all goes to show that our assessment that the basically by proxy the entire equities market is stuck in some ultra short-term, crazy high leverage short vol saddle every single day, and it's purely done through the 0DTE contract on SPX, and then the downstream effects from all the beta hedging, is just kind of what keeps the market stabilized. It's just crazy how much leverage there is, though. If that's the truth, it's quite a gobsmacking amount of fucking shortfall.
I mean, so I took it upon myself this week to sell. So I bought a straddle last week. I didn't get out of it till like Tuesday, Wednesday. And I bought some theta on it too, but it was just like we were just so flat that I couldn't get out of my straddle. And so I took it upon myself, like after me and Jay Fresh's conversations last week, and like I think we discussed in here even a little bit, like the idea of everyone's just short strangling like wherever spot is, right, constantly, and huge quantities too. And all of that short strangling is giving us this flat fucking price action, but it all gets ripped apart at the end of the day and you get these huge blowout moves. And so pretty much every day this week I just like waited till we kind of settled near like where the most gamma was, and then I sold the fuck out of short strangles and then closed them before 3 o'clock, and it was great. I can't complain about it at all, because the premium's just so fat in the morning, and then it's nothing by the afternoon once vol's been crushed out.
It's funny because like the weirdest thing, right, is that distribution of short vol closing has not really changed much. Like people are pushing the limits of their risk by holding those short positions open into close, right? Like it's so dangerous once you start getting close to close, and the delta of your contracts is going insane, right? Like,
yeah,
it just blows my mind that people aren't trying to distribute those gains throughout the day. I mean, they are, but like not to the degree they should be. A lot of people do just hold it to close and fucking diamond hand that shit, and it's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you kind of can, depending on where you sell that short straddle, and like if you're selling at like 2 DTE or 3 DTE, you really don't have to do shit, because the chances of mean reversion are so high, right?
Oh, I'm betting that people are, what they're doing into close is they're setting up the next short strangle for the next day.
Oh yeah.
And then opening price, they just
they absolutely are. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the long straddle works so well, right? Is because you're buying those, like the one at market close, because you're buying those puts and calls so fucking cheap because everyone else is selling them.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just it's a very, very, very weird market, and
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. You guys can go on.
Yeah, I mean it's everybody's pushing down on the tails, and so it's all bulging out in the middle. So you get like this very violent volatility within a very tight range.
Keep talking more about bulging out in the middle.
Oh yeah, I can tell you all about that.
Yeah. I'm glad Girk's not here right now because I'm bulging out in the middle too.
Middle out, it's the best.
Yeah. It's funny, like, and I feel like we've all thought this, but I've just been repeating it on Twitter for months now, and here for even longer because I didn't even care about Twitter until a few months ago. Like, an intraday sell-off is all it takes to send this entire fucking short vol craziness into a fucking tailspin. That's all it takes is one thing that spooks investors from, you know, the magnificent AI. And
I think it's got to be a few days because we've had some 1-day sell-offs, and they always try to catch the knife. I mean, they need to get obliterated, I think, over the course of a few days.
I want to talk about some of the dynamics of that knife catching. Since we're talking about the short vol like kind of saddle thing that occurs. It's not so much that the knife is being caught, it's just that everyone's closing their short calls that they sold earlier. Right? So I think that's what's accelerating the market maker hedge. Like, obviously, we have support from the MM because we're above gamma neutral, right? But everyone just closes all their short calls when we test near the low, right? Or we start falling into the point where like we're gonna break a major resistance or something like that. Like, all the short calls just capitulate, and now intraday that kind of looks like call buying, right? Because you can't really differentiate between you can't differentiate between the bot, and it's just something like they're being bought, but you don't know if they're being bought to open or bought to close. And I think they just collapse that, and then that frees up all of that delta and drives the market maker to push prices even higher, right? And then they're just selling the shit out of puts on that bounce. So it's just kind of like shifting their short vol one direction to the other.
So, and this is why I think like a single day could do it, is because, if let's just do like a thought experiment, right? If 50% of the volume in the entire options market is on this one expiry, right, and we assume that a vast majority of that is sold, right? If you get a serious enough intraday sell-off, 50% of the options in the entire options chain get blown up, right? So just with that in mind, if the market dropped like 150 basis points over the course of say an hour, everyone would get blown up.
Yeah, it might be enough. I would say probably. I would feel more strongly about it if it was like 2 to 3% over 2 days. I think a lot of people will just jump to the next day and try to.
They'll be getting called, dude.
I think the days where we've had like serious downside are all. I think Dork's kind of right, but what we need is like continuation, because the days where we've had serious downside, the price is the really you've hold on.
Serious? I'm going to challenge Girk on the fact that we've had any serious downside.
Okay, well, we've had enough downside to pick up some speed. Let's say that.
Yeah, so the last time that happened was in like it was like September of last year or October, and then the financial media went crazy about it, right? Remember that day?
Yeah.
That was like the one time I want to say we've actually had that significant down. So what's funny is we got fairly close just because the saddle is tightening up so tight because risk is going up, like risk tolerance is going down. We were pretty close before we got our end of day MOAS on Wednesday.
Yeah, we were.
We were pretty close, but we weren't quite there yet. And but that's the thing, is like if we hit that point with gusto and without like much of a slowdown in the selling, it's just going to be a short stabilization before leg down. And if that happens 2 or 3 times, the entire options market's going to be wiped out.
Well, so we get that move down, right? And then like we start getting the short calls closing. And I think this is where it slips, right? Is that like if those short calls closing reverses the price, right? And then you start getting short puts sold immediately, right?
Yeah,
if you get another leg, if you get a continuation of the downside, right? So, you know, let's try to draw this a little more accurately, but like you get your short calls closing and then you get another sell off into those short puts. This is where shit gets wonky.
Yeah,
right?
That might be where it gets fun, yeah.
And this is, you know, generally speaking, like, okay, I know we haven't had big down days, but the biggest down days we've had have all been where this dynamic has played out. Right.
Yeah, and I think the participant who's selling shares, like to make this happen, they probably let off the gas because they realize they're about to blow out their own spreads because these fucking volatility players are trying to blow themselves up.
Yeah.
So,
but what you're talking about requires that this happens multiple times, right?
Well, so there's two things that can happen, right? So let's just say Sam Altman gets investigated for fraud, and the news breaks at like let's say it breaks at 2 p.m. Okay, so the saddle is fully engaged, right? Okay, so Sam Altman gets investigated for like $100 billion fraud, and not only does that spook investors, but that would actually cause these short vol fuckers to completely and totally change their stance on their risk tolerance. Right?
Yeah.
So you'll probably get some short call closing to try to get some stuff going on, but you're going to get short put closing too, as they just reduce their overall risk profile all at once.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, to get those continuations, you need something to happen in there that's outside of, you know, just the intraday price action. And like, don't get me wrong, that same shit happens to the upside, right? Like, actually, you know what?
Yeah,
let's go down to like a granular scale of Friday, right? You know,
Thursday
or Wednesday. Wednesday is the day that matters here for this, right? So right here, you know, you get you know some downside action from profit taking on calls after the gap up, right? And then, you know, there's really no short puts yet for the day, so we get a little bit of a continuation, and then short puts build up like all throughout the day down here at like I think they were down at like 52.15 was the majority of them that day.
No.
And 52.10. There was just shitloads of puts just out of the money all day long, right? And then, you know, we moved up, right? But we didn't move up enough to get those short calls to close, right? And so, you know, when we dropped and those short calls started closing, then we just ripped, right? And then these just swelled even more.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of the same deal in that, like, this is where the short puts decided to close, right?
There's a cat. Sorry.
So you get kind of the inverse of, you know, what we were just talking about, where like, you know, you're at the low and then you have the short puts and then those start coming in, right? And then as this pushes up, if it pushes through those short calls and those capitulate, you get the same thing.
Nice.
So like, look at the volume there. So this was all short calls, right? At the peak when we failed, everyone starts selling a bunch of calls, right? But then those got squeezed out on the bounce.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it works in both directions for sure, and it's because it's a saddle. It's not just
Yeah.
like a big giant like upward push. It's a saddle.
Okay, Dork's still too quiet. I bumped his
Let me see.
volume a bunch.
Let me see if I can change something really quick. How's that? Is
Oh,
that better?
Jesus fuck. Yeah, okay. That's a lot
Here's a
better.
Windows. God damn, it was fine in my other place, but all of a sudden I moved to this new place and it's fucking super quiet. And I'm like, why the fuck? But yeah, this is the Windows
Different
setting.
acoustics, right?
I guess I'm right in front of a wall now versus the other place there wasn't a wall here, so the microphone might actually, because it's like a smart array, it might actually be doing some sort of weird shit with the microphone lobes. I don't know.
Tell me more about these loads.
I said lobes with a B, like your earlobes, things I nibble on.
Ew. I didn't like that.
You like it. You like when I nibble your earlobes.
Stop it.
Are your kids around?
When do we get to talk about AI?
I mean, I assume that you're gonna bring it up.
Yeah.
It's become your thing.
I know. I don't want it to be, but it drives me nuts. There's just a lot of AI news, and I feel like AI is driving.
Every time I see one of your tweets, I just imagine a lone crusader going, like, trying to scale the walls of Jerusalem in, like, the 1300s. It's just you. It's just you carrying a giant AI meme on your back instead of a shield.
Yeah, basically.
And I mean, I don't have anything good to say about AI, but I definitely don't feel as passionately about it as you do.
Well, you know, I'm in the tech world. I mean,
that's true. Yeah,
not like directly relevant. You know, I don't directly do work in AI, but I'm very adjacent to it in a lot of ways. And I have to deal with the AI hype at my job too, which drives me crazy even more.
Yeah, I feel like it's far more impactful in your line of work.
Well, it's not impactful, but it is much more prevalent.
Yeah, okay.
So JFresh, are you gonna try to get like $100 billion of grant money by saying you're working on materials that help cool AI chips?
It's already filed.
No. Damn it. Dude, you could get so much grant money by doing that. Just say AI.
You need to create a product, and it needs to be like, you just need to call it COM. And those are the, you know, those are the initials. I don't care what the actual name of it. Could be like cesium something. Anyway, and you need to get AI companies to buy it and smother it all over their GPUs.
Gross.
I mean, if you did that though, you'd be a king.
That'd be pretty funny. Yeah, it's just not that exciting of a problem. I mean, all they're really doing is just packing in more power into, you know, a similar space, and so you just have higher heat fluxes, but it's all the same materials. It's, you know,
wait, are you telling me that Jensen's engineers didn't break the laws of physics?
No. But it's just kind of boring because, I mean, the solution, you know, given what we have today, the solution is kind of already predefined, which is sort of what you've seen. Like I mean, the state of the art, if you're not going to do immersion cooling, is just to build cold plates and stick them on the hot parts of the boards and apply enough pressure and enough cum, I guess we'll call it, in between the interface so that you get enough heat transfer that, you know, it doesn't get hot enough to melt itself. But it just becomes a harder engineering problem, but it's not exciting. So it's like, okay, well, bigger chillers for the building, and we need bigger heat exchangers outside, and it just starts to become absurd. So it's not exciting, it's just absurd. And there is money out there, a lot of CHIPS Act and other money flying around to do thermal management of, complex packaged chips and higher heat flux chips.
So you're saying me and Dork should go start a company where we mix confectioner's sugar with mineral oil and sell it to people?
You could try. They would figure it out pretty quick because it wouldn't be very good.
Would they buy some first?
What if we recycle motor oil and we use that for cooling GPUs?
I don't know. Why would you use motor oil?
Doesn't it have a higher heat capacity than water? Doesn't it have a higher heat capacity than water?
Like nothing does. Water is one of the best heat transfer materials ever.
Wow.
It's all the other things. Water's corrosive, it's conductive, all this other crap that makes it bad. It tends to freeze and evaporate at weird temperatures.
Glycol? It's like a giant vape. Just turn all the Nvidia supercomputers into giant vape mods.
Gross.
Now we're talking.
But so the problem's boring. You can solve it. It's fine. But it just would take a massive amount of money and resources. And the issue is not the thermal management. The issue is just, what are we using all this power to create, right? I mean, we're making a bunch of shit that looks like something useful, but isn't quite useful, right? It's like really close, but it just breaks in weird ways and can never quite go the last mile to like a useful product.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of like in my profession, especially, we're software engineers, and oftentimes I see our more green of our bunch. What they do is what I call engineering themselves into a hole, where they have created such an elaborate and complex system to perform a simple task that when it breaks and they're tasked with fixing it, it's practically impossible.
Are we talking about graphene?
No, we're just talking about complexity. We're talking about like layers, adding unnecessary complexity to a simple problem.
Can we use graphene to cool Nvidia GPUs?
No.
Damn it. God, that would have had everything. I'm still stuck on the funding. Yeah, if you cover graphene in COM.
Graphene's dead. Actually, Bill Gates already did that. The Gates Foundation funded a research project to make condoms out of graphene. So he's already done it.
Yeah. And did they find that the tip of the penis became cooler?
I don't know. I just read that he funded it. I'm sure nothing came of it. You can't. It doesn't even make sense. It's too thin. Like it's actually just really funny because like the trope with graphene was that it's strong enough to hold an elephant. If it was an elephant standing on a pencil, sitting on top of a graphene sheet, it'd be strong enough to hold an elephant. But the graphene sheet has to be like a millimeter thick, and graphene's 1 atom thick, so it's like not. It's not a physically possible comparison, right? And so once you start stacking it, you just have graphite, and it'll just flake apart and fall to pieces. But everyone's just like, oh, it's so strong. It's like, yeah, it's strong on a very irrelevant scale for just about anything you want to do with it.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, the tensile strength of graphene on those large of scales has to be practically zero.
Yeah, you look at graphene funny and it falls apart. Like the surface tension of water, you put it on top of water, and the surface tension of water will just eviscerate it.
Like Osmosis Jones and the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Strong on paper.
That was another great hype. I mean, graphene was super hyped. It lasted about 10 years. A lot of excitement in it. Everybody was doing something with it. It never really trickled out into the broader market, so most people don't really, they don't. Nobody ever thinks about all the stuff that was really hyped that didn't go anywhere, like graphene, which is used precisely nowhere. And you even had companies like Panasonic and other places. They would make rolls of it, right? They developed a lot of infrastructure to make a lot of this stuff, and it's just used literally nowhere now. And most people have just moved on. And so you think about all of the time and effort. Maybe not as much money as goes into AI, but certainly probably significantly more time and effort went into the science and engineering of these materials, and they just went absolutely nowhere.
Well, didn't they create like a room temperature superconductor using like graphene in like wire patterns?
Moray, yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that was a thing, but it must have been really like not feasible to try to produce at scale. They probably did it with like a 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter square, and they went, "Holy shit!" and made a paper.
No, it's worse than that. They take flakes of it, and they just throw them down onto the surface. Well, actually, what they would do is, so you can make it a couple of ways. One, you can exfoliate it, which is just take a bunch of graphite and then just try to rip it apart. There are different types of methods, but basically you just mechanically separate it and then put it down. The other one is you can grow it on copper by at high temperatures. You can get a carbon source to push carbon into the copper, and then as it cools down, it precipitates out to the surface. And if you get just the right amount of carbon, it'll precipitate out and form a layer of graphene, and then you can etch the copper away, and you've got graphene. That's the more common way that people you make it to like build stuff with it, because you can make larger patches of it. And so what they would do is they grow 2 layers. Take 2 pieces of copper, grow 2 layers, etch one away, put it down, etch another one, and slap it down on top of that one, and then they just go and look for moray patterns. There's no control at all. I'm just slapping stuff together.
So it's like binning microprocessors.
Right. I had a buddy who did a little bit of research like that at it was at UC Santa Cruz. But he said they basically were like taking like lead pencils and like scribbling them on pieces of Scotch tape and then rubbing the Scotch tape together to make their graphene.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, it's so weird.
The problem is when you put it down, you've got all the Scotch tape goop on it. So they'll use water soluble tapes and stuff too.
I'm sure he was using Scotch tape as a mechanism for other fancy science tape. But yeah, there is still some cool stuff to be done with research into carbon-based processing, though, like in transistor technology and all that stuff. But we are at the scales now where we have to worry about things like quantum tunneling and all that craziness. There was a transistor type I heard about. I think it was JPL posted a blurb about it. That was like some sort of. It wasn't a field effect transistor, but it was like a quantum field effect transistor. I thought that was really cool, but I feel like manufacturing it was probably way too hard for it to go anywhere. God, I need to look up that paper now.
All right, we've gotten rid of some people.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Well done.
Well, okay, so we can bring it back to AI and hype cycles. And I thought it was interesting, Dork, that you picked up $100 billion as your number for like the fraud, because it came out, I think it was Friday, I think, that Microsoft and Sam Altman were in talks developing a $100 billion AI server farm, which is absolutely insane.
Oh God.
Yeah, $100 billion for a computer. It's just, and what's it gonna do? That's the real question. Just
Nothing.
Chat GPT stuff.
Yeah. Slightly
That's a giant
faster.
I mean, that's all they really have, right? They're just like, let's make it bigger and see what happens, which is very expensive. And so far, actually, there's an interesting what I've found really interesting is that the media is starting to scrutinize the AI industry much more closely, and it's happening very quickly. And so I have to imagine that you think about who's within their circles of influence and who kind of dictates what trails of interest to follow. I have to imagine as the people in power who've pumped a lot of money into this are getting antsy and not seeing a return on their investment, everybody's starting to become more critical, and this always happens in any sort of hype cycle, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you want money quick. But so there's been a couple of interesting articles. There's been exposés on individual people and their reactions with how the VC firms are interacting with CEOs and things. But the most interesting one was that there's an estimate by somebody in the VC industry who said that there's probably been about $50 billion pumped into AI startups, and the revenues are somewhere around $3 billion, which kind of confirms that nobody's making money. And you can always argue that there's some sort of there's an argument of you've got to spend money to make money. It's a growth market, but I mean, at some point you've got to make some money, right?
Yeah, well,
Yep.
this is the thing is like these startups, right? They're like if you're a startup into a thing that really only gained popularity over the last year and a half, and and your product is based on that hype thing, and you came out inside that hype cycle, you are most likely making a product that will guaranteed be irrelevant. Like it is the 80-20 rule, right? But on crack. So like to try to be a phoenix to rise from those ashes is just it's almost silly to invest in, although these VCs probably justify it by saying, well, that one is going to be like a 100 bagger, right? And it'll outweigh the rest of the shitty companies that I happen to invest in because I didn't look at any of their financials. But for a lot of VCs that don't throw the right, the dart on the right spot on the board, they're just going to get hosed.
That's the thing that really makes me angry. I mean, these VCs, there's just this built-in assumption that because there's so much money getting pumped into this technology, that it must be impactful and it must be a sure thing.
Yeah.
And
that's also really
and it just really isn't. So one of the exposés that I mentioned was on Stable Diffusion, right? They kind of pioneered some open source. They really started the race of like Gen AI for pictures, and their diffusion based models. And there were some very well known VC firms that, I mean, they were basically chasing him across the country, trying to be the ones to invest, to get on the board and get ownership. I mean, they could not have been more bullish on this company. They did no due diligence, none. Literally none. They were just like, this is a cool technology, we're gonna pump it, it's a big deal. And they did no due diligence. And it wasn't until relationships started to sour with the CEO, who was very scatterbrained and had no plan. They were just kind of making GitHub, putting up functions on GitHub and Hugging Face or wherever. And they had no plan to monetize it. They didn't know what they were doing. And so they said, okay, you need to come up with a roadmap for your business. This was like over a year after they invested in the company. At no point did they think before they invested in it, does this company have a roadmap to profitability? None. And it blows my mind the degree to which, you know, these VC people think that they're I don't know. I mean, the hubris and mixed with the stupidity is just monumental. And honestly, I don't think the world will be a better place until the VCs all go broke.
Well, you know, an MBA, right? That just basically what an MBA does is it says it's kind of like being a poet, okay? You learn all the rules of poetry and art so that you may break them later down the road, right? That's what an MBA is.
That's finance.
Yeah. So you learn all the rules of finance and responsible risk management and due diligence, and then once you've really arrived and you've got, you know, $30 billion to throw around at piece of shit companies that have
You
no
buy
roadmap to profitability.
100,000 zero DTE calls at the end of the day.
Yeah, so you do that. you say I know what proper risk management is and proper due diligence. However, because I'm such a genius and I'm so smart, I'm going to go ahead and bend those rules quite a bit in my pursuit of outsized returns and glory.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, that's kind of the environment that, you know, the modern day Fed and our government built, right? They've rewarded that behavior for too long. It's become so deeply embedded into really just, I mean, how our capital markets even function, right? I mean, it's how can you look at that behavior and not say that something's broken with risk?
Hey, you know what, Jay Fresh, it's only been like 30 years, okay? You know, the Greenspan put really kind of kicked this whole shebang off. And ever since, it's been wonderful.
But this is,
I mean,
but you know, but I think this has impact. You know, I think how the media is portraying AI just in the last few weeks is going to end up being super important.
Yeah.
Because other people are going to start seeing that risk, and they're going to start hedging for it, and I think that's going to matter, right? And then as these things start to implode, they're going to start bailing, and that's going to be even more impactful. But it's you know, I believe at the beginning of the year I was kind of thinking, okay, probably 2 quarters until it starts to become you know, a pretty shaky thesis on AI, right? As these companies continue to not make more money than they pump in, to quite an alarming degree if that 50-3 ratio is true. Because the costs will scale with the revenues, right? So, and if that happens, I mean, I still think we're on track to crush some multiples before the end of the year.
Right, the doo-doo Matterhorn down the slope thing.
Was it the whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are always so certain of themselves, and wiser people are so full of doubts.
So just to say, you know, our Fed environment has created this issue, but you know, it's done a lot of good for this nation. Okay, so you know, if the Fed weren't there, okay, I wouldn't be able to go and get a degree in marketing and then get a job that pays 250 grand for me to sit around and read emails and make PowerPoints.
I mean, only if you had your acai bowl beforehand. Otherwise, you have to go into a rest pod for 2 hours after you arrive at work.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I do that anyway.
I mean, this is I think this is kind of the. I think this is something that us as humans have been deluding ourselves with the last couple decades. Is that, you know, people keep thinking, oh, we'll find new things for people to do, just like we have been doing. But in reality, I don't think it's even a crazy thing to say. I don't think it should be contentious at all. To say that 80% of jobs that exist don't need to exist.
I think this is
nothing.
I think this is a shift in how people parent. You know, from like 1900 to 1950, parents were like, "You're a piece of shit. You're never gonna mean anything. You're just a useless fucking pleb. If you don't work your ass off, you'll have nothing, and you'll die in the gutter, right? And then from like 1960 till now, parents are like, "You're fucking great. You're gonna rule the world when you grow up. You're gonna be the best." So it used to be, you know, as an act of defiance, people would make their way. They would create something novel, something new. And now people are just already guaranteed glory from birth. So why seek it?
Yeah, I mean, certainly there could be some of that going on, but at the same time, we've come up with a lot of technological advances between them that have enriched people's lives in various ways. But
that's true. I was actually looking at your Twitter last night, and I got an ad for, I guess it's some kind of plumbus, but it vibrates both your balls and your perineum at the same time.
ooh.
Yeah. I mean, how could we not be successful in a world where such a device exists?
But yeah, I mean, in general, most of the jobs today, I mean, are doing what? I mean, it's like, I don't know. I don't even know. Most of it just doesn't have to exist. And I think that's the issue, is that we still think that we're in a regime where we'll just always have more work for people to do when we've actually already run out of work for people to do. And so then you combine that with really easy money, and you just make up the weirdest things, right? And they don't even have to make any money anymore. I think all that's important is that it's just being done, right? But now we're trying to apply that idea from, you know, giving humans busy work to giving machines busy work, and it's what are we doing here?
What's that job that you love so much? Where they just like lead teams?
Oh, Scrum.
Project
Scrum,
managers?
yeah, Scrum. No. Scrum masters. That's I think that's the perfect example. That and prompt engineers.
Yeah, AI prompt engineers. You just have to prompt it, bro. You just don't know how to use it. Okay.
So you're not engineering your prompt correctly.
Yeah, kill me.
So isn't AI good at replacing poor labor? Read uneducated. No, that's the biggest problem with AI. Is it's terrible at replacing morons, and that's what we want to replace with it, right? Is we want to, because it lacks basic counting skills and object recognition that humans have innately, even at our lowest.
You have been reading my Twitter.
I haven't.
No,
have I?
You have.
I mean, I read it sometimes. I said that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible at replacing morons, and that's the one thing that we want to replace. It's really it's impossible for it to replace people that are intelligent, that have novel thoughts, but it's actually really bad at replacing idiots. What it might be good at is like you wear a lapel pin that gives you like a universal translator, like Star Trek. And that might be about it.
So that's I mean, that is something. I'll try to be positive since I poo-poo it so much. I mean, large language models are actually pretty decent at, you know, emulating language. The problem is that there's nothing on the back end doing any thinking, right? So you're doing a really good job of pumping out language, but we don't know how to make it think at all, or reason, or anything like that. And so you always run into problems once you try to make it do that. However, like you just mentioned, you know, converting from one language to another, excellent application for an LLM.
Yeah. Most jobs could be automated using Excel. That's correct, Squamsk. But who wants to learn how to use Excel?
But here's the thing I'm getting at when I say we're deluding ourselves into thinking that there will always be jobs, and now we're trying to give those jobs to machines so we don't have to pay humans to do it. The real solution is just to eliminate those activities because they don't do anything. That is far cheaper and more efficient than making a computer just do a bunch of shit that's not valuable.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the story of that's like the story of like every business that starts, right? It's like initially you're like, oh my god, this task and this task and this task, and your employment pool grows and grows and grows, and then you spend the rest of the life of the business eliminating those positions, right? Until
Yep.
you're back to efficient, and then like this happens in most businesses, and it happens in the business cycle as part of growth cycles, right? It's like, oh my god, all these things need to be done, we need to hire so many people, and then over time you realize very few of those things actually ever needed to be done in the first place, except now we're trying
Yep.
to get stupid machines to do them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
you're right.
I think that the challenge is one a very basic and profound challenge that I don't know that we will be able to overcome. I think it says more about us as a people that our society and our economy and even just our moral structure is not built to handle the fact that most people don't need to be working.
No.
And we've taken that inadequacy in ourselves to create a world where people just don't have to work, and gone to such extremes with it, right, in the other direction, to just avoid wrestling with that reality, right? Oh, we'll get computers to do all that work.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's
we're
really
starting
gotten to
to
the point where
spend.
like people could just like project themselves 10 hours a day in front of a stock screen showing off their beautiful face, and yeah, that's a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but so here's the biggest issue, Jay Fresh, is when you like let's just play out the thought experiment, right? And we say, okay, you 80% of people, you don't actually have to work. That other 20%, right? There's going to be some instability in, the capitalist social construct for those for both groups of people, right? And you either incentivize to work, right, which will create pressure to have more people get bullshit jobs again, or you incentivize not working in order to stabilize, your essentially your economic pool of resources. But you end up with a much more volatile social construct or setup if you do end up following that path. And so rather than take the dangerous route, I think that as a society, we have decided that it is better if we just pretend that that problem doesn't exist.
Yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I'm also not implying that I have a solution. I'm part of the problem. I have no idea what a world where 80% of the people don't work looks like,
It looks like Brave New
economically.
World, like a mixture of Brave New World and Eyes Wide Shut.
That's a weird combination. Yeah. um, but yeah, but the question is is it really sustainable if we're now going on this path of the only way forward is to get computers to do all these tasks for us, I guess, to free us up to do other even more meaningless tasks. But it costs so much money that, I mean, I really think that it could actually just cripple the system anyway, right? We're going so far in the other direction that, and we're spending such ridiculous amounts of money pursuing this inanity that I don't know. I really don't know.
My biggest fear with AI isn't actually how useless it will be. It's the amount of faith I see people placing in it. Right? It's like let me try to clarify that. It's what scares me is that people think it is intelligent. Like a large number of people think it is in fact intelligent, right?
Yep.
And they think this is like something that can teach our kids, that can, you know, benefit the mind of future scientists and politicians and decision makers. And the idea that like an LLM could be built to say, like, for, let's say, history, right? um and you could teach it you can plug it full of all the historic data that we have readily available, right? And then it's going to go train other little LLM models that are going to, break, like, subdivide all of that information into, courses. And the breakdown of the continuity and information between that original model and then the subsequent models is honestly like one of my biggest fears. And it seems so small at first, like maybe, some fact about, Napoleon and Elba in like 1812, and then, maybe, when it teaches the next model that it gets it a little wrong, and then all of a sudden, 5 years later you've got, Napoleon being exiled to Hawaii in 1947. And it's just, but that's kind of how those like errors persist and grow, right? And if
not only
we've
that,
if we've
well, but
given up if we've given up our control of that knowledge to these LLMs, then everything that we've created as a human race up until now is going to become worthless.
So not only that, but every kid who goes and learns from these different, like, LLMs get a different course, right? And they may get some things wrong in different ways than others. So you end up with a bunch of people who don't actually know the true history, that all know it in a different way. And we're completely convinced because the LLM is really, really good at manipulating us.
History might be a terrible example because I feel like that what you just said is already absolutely true.
Yeah.
But I'm more worried about like the hard sciences, I guess, than things that are interpretive like history. Um but yeah, I mean, like having people learn math the wrong way, even like basic algebra the wrong way, right? Or learning the wrong order of operations incidentally. And there's like, how many now we need to create jobs for all those humans that we just got rid of to double check all the output of all these LLMs.
Yeah, it's redundant, right? You were
Yeah.
just adding more redundancy, and it's just stupid. Like, you're basically describing a teacher, right? But instead of a teacher, we end up with a prompt engineer who goes and makes the lessons more prompt. Like, it's just redundant and stupid. And we're, because we're human, we're so good at extrapolating, right? Which is the exact opposite of what LLMs do.
We call that planning.
Well, yeah, we plan and we project, right? We're like, okay,
and we're also good at adapting when our plans fall apart.
Right. But so we basically, and this is what happened in this cycle, and it's continuing to happen, right? And that's why I enjoy jumping on your Twitter threads, JFresh, is because you always get some sort of AI simp jumping in and
oh yeah,
trying to hand wave away a problem that's
you're
like
good at triggering people.
I know.
Yeah, he fully pulls them in, and then like I'm like, oh sweet, let's jump him. But so but what's crazy is like it's all part of a cycle for a technology, right? And it happened with graphene, right? Because it exhibited some superconducting behaviors, and so people were already extrapolating to like graphene batteries and graphene microchips and all this shit, right? Before there was even a roadmap to get to those things. And the same thing is happening with AI now, where they're like, okay, this LLM can convince me that unicorns are real. Holy shit! This means that we have a definitive technology that will lead us to AGI and to flying cars and robots that can fold our laundry. And it's natural for us to do. But ultimately, reality slowly sinks in at first, and as that happens, right? And I've discussed this before, and Girk has too. You know how like incidences of fraud go up during economic pullbacks, and the same thing happens in markets, right? Risk appetite goes up as risk-free returns go down, right? So what we're looking at right now, like if we just took a snapshot of everything in the entire, money exchanging hands universe, right? There's really not a whole lot of real growth, right? Like are people building more washing machines, right? Are people, building more houses? Are people buying houses? Are they, consuming more services and traveling more, right? And the answer is not really. So, as an investor, you are encouraged to seek out a yield somewhere else, such as Jeff Y, which yields over 25% quarterly, right? And you have VCs doing the same thing in this hype cycle, right? Where they're like, this thing is hyped up. People are saying it's going to lead us to AGI and flying cars and robots that can fold our laundry. So I'm not going to do any due diligence. I'm just going to throw money at all these companies, and it's almost a guarantee, right? It's a risk. It's almost risk free that one of them is going to be a bazillion bagger, right? And it's going to make up for all the losses when the other ones fail. But
yeah, you know the guy who started WeWork?
Yeah, wasn't he like a fraudster?
He's a huge fraudster, and he's currently got another startup that was well funded to basically start to basically buy rental properties where the people who rent them are responsible for all the maintenance. It's essentially, if you dig into what he's done, essentially that, and had no problem getting more money. Known fraudster. I bet if Sam Bankman-Fried was let out and he started another crypto thing, I bet he would have no problem finding gobs of money.
Right. And so this scenario extends even further, right? Like if we go to the source, you not only see this risk-taking behavior from investors, right? And, things like that, but you see it from these founders, right? People making companies on extremely risky value propositions, right? Extremely speculative, risky value propositions at best, and at worst, misleading and potentially fraudulent, right? And so what that does is that skews the result that the VC firm sort of expects, right? Let's say they expect an 80-20. These guys skew it to like a 95-5 because they're basically going to these uninformed people and getting ridiculous amounts of money from them for an idea with no certainty of it ever being able to be accomplished. And even if it is, that it will generate the returns that they are projecting. Yep. Right. So from bottom to top, it all just becomes a more and more desperate money grab. And we're like just at the absolute height of it, where it's just frothy and disgusting, and everyone it's an orgy, right? It's the great financial.
Yeah, it's a money orgy, and you're not invited.
Yeah, but all these rich people are all coming all over each other and just like out both sides of the mouth, right?
Eyes wide shut.
Each other off. Reach arounds galore, Dutch rudders, you name it, they got it. Sex chairs, fainting couches, all the stuff. Gimp suits, and it's just a huge eyes wide shut party.
Oh my god, I love this version of dork.
And it's all because they all think that technology or this cycle, right? There is a savior out there. There is this light at the end of the tunnel because we have hot anime waifu chatbots, right?
You remember like a few months ago, I was yelling at the clouds saying, "Show me the AI roadmap."
Yeah.
I was pissing people off. I need to go find the one guy who responded to me and said, these AI companies probably have a roadmap. They're just not showing you.
No, God.
I need to go show them.
That's the GME thesis.
I need to go show them the quote from that article on Stable Diffusion, where the VCs like a year in are like, make a roadmap. You don't have a roadmap, make one. Show me the goddamn roadmap.
I mean,
it's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the GME thesis, right? We the investors are so unworthy of these founders' time that they don't need to deign to provide us with information.
Yeah.
We know whatever they're thinking behind the scenes is the best thing.
No, we've deified them. They AI, and we not worthy. Like literally, we have completely deified these people. Like, you know, we have our Sam Altman shrine up that we cut off a lock of our hair and spill our blood from our palm onto.
We've deified AI, not just the people running it. We've I mean, people have already deified the LLMs, right? They're like, these are gonna end our. They're literally slotting it into, you know, like biblical end of the world scenarios. Like, this is AI is going to destroy us all because of this. We need to create government protections. Yeah, it's a huge part of the sales pitch, but yeah, I mean, like, it's already got its own doomsday cult. And the fucking shit can't even count coconuts. Like,
you know what I think call it. The cult has a name, actually. I think it's good that people are informed. It's called P Doom. P with parentheses Doom, and it's shorthand for what's the probability that AI will bring about our doom. And so these people all go on YouTube and Twitter and all these places and spend hours and hours and hours arguing over what P Doom is. It's kind of fascinating.
So whenever and this is I think this is a healthy way to think about it. When people talk about AI on Twitter or in P Doom or whatever, I like to think of it. I just like to think of the hot anime waifu chatbot, and that's what I imagine they're talking about.
That's the only profitable path forward I see. Is just
I know.
Chat GPT sitting around telling me how great I am, and in a hot sexy robot.
Yeah, but that's what it's going to be, and that's what I imagine people are.
That's a $1 trillion industry.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
But I don't see anybody building that besides maybe Elon Musk. Elon Musk probably is. I could imagine him down on the Tesla factory floor, just getting wanked off by like a bot that puts a dashboard on or something.
People have built AI girlfriends. Those models exist. I don't know how popular they are, but because it's just, you know,
they're the most popular. They're the most revenue. They're actually the highest revenue generating technology to come out of LLMs. No joke.
Probably.
No fucking joke, Jay Fresh. Look it up. They're like, they make the most money.
Yeah, sure. Why wouldn't
companion AIs is what they call them.
Amaranth is at the cutting edge of this.
No, so yeah, when you hear Jensen talk about, you know, his fucking Alfred Hitchcock chip or whatever the fuck it's called and all this shit, just imagine a hot waifu chick telling you everything you want to hear, and that's what he is pushing for with his technology currently.
And let's bring this around back to Jay Fresh's material science expertise. How do we keep them cool? You can't get third degree burns on your dick when you're fucking your AI robot, all right? It's really important because I feel like that's a big hurdle and no one's addressing it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get there when we get there. I don't know how many watts a artificially intelligent vagina puts out.
So I'm just gonna say what people have told me on Twitter, Jay Fresh. We'll figure it out.
It's inevitable.
We're just gonna we'll figure that problem out. That's just gonna get figured out and solved. That's how
figuring it out. Yeah, it's just a token issue. It's an issue with the tokenizer.
Yeah. Okay. We'll figure it out.
Watch this 2-hour video of this guy in his bedroom explaining what a tokenizer is, so that you can get on my level. I won't even deign to explain it to you.
Oh yeah, no, you're not worthy if you don't watch all these videos and fail to comprehend what they talk about, like I have. You are not worthy of discussion.
Yeah.
Fucking Bay Area morons, dude. The Bay Area is a fucking just a cesspool of uneducated idiots.
You love it there, don't you?
I hate it. I hate it with every fiber of my being. I hate it so much. There's no place I would rather not be than downtown San Francisco.
Because of the shit on the street?
Well, if you're talking about the yuppies on the street with the little fucking name cards, RFID badges, I think they're more of a shit stain than the homeless people.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they're sitting there in their scrums and they're talking about how to increase viewership on like the one like increase clicking on a single button on a web page. There's like 17 people on it, and they all get paid 150 grand a year to make this button more clickable.
And the scrum master who brought them all down to the tenderloin in order to hold their meeting in a raw environment, he's getting paid $250,000.
Yeah,
no joke. I legit thought that Scrum Master was like a joke for at least a year. Like,
no, it's a real thing.
An embarrassingly long amount of time. I assumed it was a joke. I mean, even Scrum Masters talk about it like it's a joke, right? I mean,
I would too. Every day I would let everyone know I can't believe I'm getting paid for this shit.
Well, yeah, because you got assigned the job by a CEO who has no idea how things get done, and so they're trying to impart their wisdom onto you with their MBA, and they're getting paid $450,000 a year, right? It's just a pyramid. It's so dumb. And like when I walk around with sweatpants on, people look at me like I'm a fucking.
I think that's so true. You talk about the MBA. The people who are in charge are not the people who understand what's going on, and there's this idea that you can have a job that's just run things, right? That's all. It doesn't matter what the thing is, you just run it. And there's this idea that that's an effective model, and I just think it's not at all.
I used to do a lot of. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, but then you run into the issue of what are all these morons gonna do if we get rid of all of the middle management that does nothing and understands nothing.
Plumbing?
Well, you replace them with people who do understand things, and then you have a properly functioning economy.
There's not enough of those people, or we actually don't need that many people to understand to that level, right? I mean, it's just
like imagine if Apple actually employed like 500,000 just straight up STEM major engineering degree people.
I mean, I think Apple is probably not even the worst offender of that.
They're not,
because they do have a lot of those folks. I don't know what the spread is, but I imagine it's, and there definitely is a correlation to some degree of, like for example, General Electric. I mean, they've been around forever. They've survived more adversity than a lot of other companies.
Self-inflicted adversity. Okay.
Yeah, some of it. But I mean, at the heart, I mean, one of the things they do is they put engineers in charge, and that's a big part of their long-running success. Is that they just put people in charge that know what's going on, and they could do the job themselves, right?
Yeah.
This is also how you end up with a plastic worm gear on your washing machine.
Yeah.
So there's benefits. I don't disagree with that.
I for one welcome our plastic worm gear overlords.
So Dork, I used to do a lot of partying once upon a time in the Bay Area, and if you shop at Ross Dress for Less and pay the bouncer $100, all the girls will think you're a billionaire. So,
well, here's the thing, Girk, is I don't. It's so funny because billionaires are so stingy; they would never do that.
I mean, they would shop at Ross Dress for Less.
Yeah, but they wouldn't pay the bouncer shit.
No.
You see, I don't want to be a part of any of the culture in the Bay Area. Is the thing that makes me the most irked by the Bay Area. Like, it's so superficial, and like you talk to anybody who like makes a modicum of money down there, and there's like just virtue signaling cunts.
If you think they're bad, you should move to where they retire when they're 35, which is Orange
Palo
County.
Alto?
No, Orange County. It's even worse because then they think they've already made it in life. There's no more. The competition is removed, and they're just reveling in their own ego.
That's when they become VCs and pump their money into AI companies that don't have a roadmap.
That's exactly
They're
true.
all just going to converge to a companion AI. All of them are. Gemini is going to be a hot anime waifu. ChatGPT, hot anime waifu. Stable diffusion, image generation, anime waifu. Voice replication, anime waifu. It's all going to be an anime waifu.
These companion DNAs process data faster than anything else known. Lots of it in DNA. Yep. 220,000 terabytes per load.
Oh, God. Well,
Boeing has entered the chat.
All right. So, markets. I mean, eventually the AI story is going to come undone. It's slowly starting to happen, which is
we're getting the shadow of doubt, which
Yeah.
is awesome, and has taken too long in my opinion.
Taken way too long.
Yeah.
That's something I always struggle with, especially in markets, is that you've got to give everybody a lot of time to come to the conclusions that you're coming to, which it can be a benefit, but it can also be a curse, right? Because
it's a curse.
If you're trying to time the market, it's very difficult to do if you're early.
Yeah, it is.
And most of the people that are right are early by definition because they figured it out before everybody else, and they can't go down until everybody else gives up.
It was, when I worked in finance, it was never something I had to think about. Like, I would just do analysis, and I would be like, this is the conclusion of my analysis, and I would just move on, right? And I never really had to worry about what the product of that was over time, right? I would just look back one day and be like, oh, look, I was right about that. Awesome. But when you're a trader or you're actively participating in the markets, and this is something I found out with this community, I have to weigh my statements over time. I have to be like, I can't say this for 3 more months. And then in 3 months I've maybe already forgotten to say the thing, and then I'm like, oh look, it happened, right? But yeah, it's shocking how long it can take the market, and it makes me feel bad for Burry, right?
Yeah.
Because he is so frequently correct, but just way the fuck off.
Yeah.
And that is
really smart dude.
Yeah, that is just hell.
Well, it's because he's fighting against people in gimp suits, giving each other BJs and reach arounds and rusty trombones and Dutch rudders and just all over each other's faces. There's the cracker in the center. It is just in a bucket of stuff, and that's what you're fighting against. Champagne,
cooling ultra material.
Yeah, it's graphene condoms all over the walls. This is what we're.
They're just flipping them up onto the ceiling fan.
Just snapping them in each other's eyes.
Yeah, this is the market when it starts to make money. It's what it turns into very quickly.
It's happening so rapidly, though, right? I mean, how everybody just a few months ago, it's like, it's 1995, not 1999.
And now they're like, it's 2001, not 2003.
Well, no, I had somebody tell me yesterday, I think we're somewhere around 1997, right? So we've gone 2 years in
a month. I've already seen a couple people say this is more like 2000 than 2002, and the same people who said it was 1995 a few months ago.
Well, why are we doing that? It's 2024, and what we're looking at now is unique, right?
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Because the market participants do not understand statistical relevancy, right? So they look to the past and weigh it way higher than they should.
Yeah, there's that guy whose entire Twitter is dedicated to making weird, all he does is make stupid correlations between things that happened in the past and now.
Yeah, and
it's like, man, markets went up 5% this day in 1962,
yeah. His sample size is 4.
Yeah, all of his samples have 4 points.
Well, yeah, and this is the problem is everyone's just looking at like basically just looking at a chart of the S&P and saying this is, can draw correlations to the past, and while you may be able to say two things look similar, in a stochastic world, they will be dissimilar.
Wait, so
right?
are you telling Ty Kid that if he highlights and copies the candles from the 2020 crash over current price action, it won't cause the market to crash?
That one's actually good. That was actually fine. Yeah.
Just keep doing that.
Yeah.
It'll happen
That's
eventually.
That's the one that works. Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
They call it the gambler's fallacy. You just keep doing it enough, eventually you'll be right.
So you're saying I should play Mega Millions?
Yes.
Ah, shit.
Over the course of 2 billion years, Girk, you will probably win once.
And have spent 3 times the winnings doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you buy 1,000 tickets at a time, it'll only take you a few million years.
Ooh.
If I made more money, I'd feel personally attacked by all this correct Bay Area hate.
I'm sorry. I spend time there, and sometimes I work at the tech companies and stuff, and like when you walk into a tech company as a non-employee, like just as like an outside contractor, like the people in the building all look at you like a homeless guy just like shambled into the room.
Have you ever tried just smoking crack while you're doing your job?
I mean, no, but I mean, I might as well. They look at me like I am, and they they all look like they're about to pick up the phone and call security.
It's not like you'll get arrested. I mean,
they'd probably give me tenants rights if I did that. Actually,
you'd get promoted. They'd hire you. It's like look at this guy doing engineering while smoking crack.
He's got to be
prime candidate.
A very high functioning human being.
Very high functioning crackhead.
No, I can prompt engineer so effectively.
Imagine him not on crack.
You just haven't run into your. Oh God, what was the name of that movie with Matt Damon?
Oh, Beautiful Mind.
That was Russell Crowe.
Yeah, no, it was. Oh God, somebody in chat do it. Put us out of our misery.
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, Hunting. You haven't had your Good Will Hunting moment yet. That's all. You just need to bring a chalkboard with you every time you go to like a major tech company to do subcontractor work, and then like hang it up on the wall and just draw math equations until someone's like that guy, and then boom, you just got a $400,000 a year job as a scrum manager, scrum master.
Equations of motion and the Einstein field equations, just one under the other, and be like, just look at it, staring at it for like an hour until someone walks by and watches me look at 2 very basic fundamental equations.
I've heard of weirder ways of getting jobs in the Bay Area, so
scrum it up.
True. I might just hang out at Starbucks and act like I'm talking on the phone to somebody about a big business deal.
That's one method. That also works on Wall Street.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I just need to say big numbers, right? And then put dollars after them.
Yeah. There's always some dickhead, like everywhere I've ever worked, there's always been some dickhead like trade desk guy who's like, man, I just found this business to invest in and it's amazing. And it's always something awful. Like one of them was, I shit you not, I knew this guy who dumped like $1 million of his bonus into this company that made Easy Pass holders for your windshield. Now, hold on a second. This was like,
because it's all stickers now.
Well, no, they were stickers then too. Nothing's fucking changed. But this was like a plastic device that you would hang on your windshield via 2 adhesive pads, and you would put your Easy Pass in it. And he invested in this because he heard a guy talking about it at a party, and he had a similar problem in that when he went to switch from one of his 7 vehicles to another, he would always forget his Easy Pass. Or he would have to
You know, you could just get
he would have to
multiple
ruin the
ETFs.
sticky pads. Well, you couldn't back then.
Oh.
But you would ruin the sticky pads by constantly removing it and reattaching it to other windshields. And so he dumped $1 million into this like fucking rando guy's manufacturing operation that was like all the way out in Queens somewhere, and they never made a penny.
Why would you manufacture anything in the city?
I don't know. Sense. They do though.
So the part where he said he dumped $1 million of his bonus, implying he got more than $1 million bonus. That makes him a real asshole.
That's not that big of a bonus.
You kidding me? If I got $1 million bonus, you would never hear from me again.
That's just because you're poor. I would just hear way more from you, actually.
Yeah, $1 million.
Yeah, you'd be like, "This $1 million is awesome. How do I get another?"
I want more millions of dollars. Yeah. Well, should we discuss actual market stuff?
So somebody did actually ask.
Fly public anymore.
Someone did ask about the Head and Shoulders on SMCI, and there is one.
Yeah, I've seen people talk about that.
It's there.
Is anybody really relying on TA at this point?
They should refer to my 2023 guide.
I will say SMCI looks interesting. I did take a look at the options chain and looking at some of the Delta and Vega, blah blah blah. And what's interesting is that all of that stuff all of those neutral points will go down as IV goes up.
Yeah,
which is somewhat unusual. So yeah, it could be doomed.
I do notice that IV is dropping a bit on it.
Is it?
Yeah, and like the call side delta is definitely not where it was previously. Like it didn't really move hard with the market this last week. It looks kind of weak, I guess. I don't know if it's gonna fail $250 all at once, but it could.
I think in general, it's still just such a gamble to do anything with semis.
Yeah.
Or anything tangentially related to AI.
You know that weekend where we like dug through the supply chain on AI? Every stock we mentioned ran the next week. Even 3M.
Yeah, it's not hard to do, right?
Yeah.
You just are like, okay, Nvidia makes a bunch of money. What do they put their shit in? Or what goes on Nvidia chips, right? I mean, it's like there's people out there celebrating their calls that they called Mu running Micron. It's like, okay, sure.
Who else makes RAM? Why isn't Samsung on the moon right now?
They make consumer devices too, and those consumer devices are based on my trip to Walmart where I saw like a 60-inch TV going for like $400. I assume that their revenues are dropping on their consumer line shit.
Their phones are getting really popular, like the foldable screen phones, especially in Asia. They're starting to outsell. They've been outselling the iPhone for a while now.
Don't say that.
Well, it's true.
Lots of people need Apple to not go down.
Yeah.
They need to stay above 170.
Violently above 170.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, Warren Buffett could just crash the market?
Yeah.
If he just, like, comes out and is just like, I mean, just the act of him selling it would take it down to, like, 130. And they'd be like, yeah, I sold it. Done.
And then it goes down, like 90.
I mean, he dumped like a little bit and killed the top, right?
I'm sure.
Like a few months ago.
I don't know how he's going to get rid of that steaming pile of shit.
He probably doesn't either. He's probably just thinking like, thank God I'm going to be dead before this matters.
Yeah. What happens when one of the largest countries in the world becomes a bit of a shitco that doesn't grow anymore?
Value trap. I've been saying that about Apple. I've been saying that about Apple for like fucking 2 years now.
Yeah, it's gonna take a long time to deflate that one.
Yeah, it is. It's passive investment, baby number one.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the meta crash.
We didn't have 3D printers back then.
Back when?
Back when that guy fucking dumped his money into that stupid company.
Well, I assume that was like 2000, like fucking 14 or something, or 13.
It's like 2011.
We had 3D printers then.
Did we?
Yeah, MakerBot was selling desktop ones. They were much. They definitely weren't like optimized for like broad use.
Production of
They
anything.
were still, yeah, like large scale production. Not really. I mean, it's made out of like balsa wood. You put it together yourself. The calibration and the modifying of the parameters took like 10 times longer than actually printing anything. But they existed.
Huh.
You'd know that, you nerd.
They would.
Yeah. I had to live through the beginning of that movement, which is still pretty big actually. And actually 3D printing did actually end up turning out to be pretty useful for prototyping. So it's actually found its way pretty firmly and robustly into the design infrastructure for a lot of things, because you can iterate so quickly, right? Anything that you can get away with making plastic, if it has to be like a fixture to hold something so you can run experiments on something you built or anything like that, it's just so much faster to do that than to try to like get a machinist to do it. There's Popcorn, I don't know if you're listening, but maybe you can reaffirm that there's definitely not enough machinists in the world, or at least in the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we need it. Not only do we need it like done well, we need it done quick. And so you can't like. And usually we want it like the time is more important than the cost. So like people are usually willing to pay a lot to get it quick, and there's just not much infrastructure for that.
The old grizzled machinists are all retiring too.
I know. Yeah. We actually at our place we got rid of one who was older. We just like got rid of him and moved the machine shop somewhere else. We're actually like trying to open our machine shop back up, and we rehired him. Hopefully for more money, because he deserves every penny.
Wait, so you guys pulled a Salesforce?
Yeah.
Nice.
No, it wasn't quite like that. It was more political than anything.
No.
Unfortunately, politics is part of my game.
When does Earth get its first supervillain in this timeline?
Sam Altman.
Sam Altman, Xi, Putin. Who do you want? Pick one. Iran.
Elon Musk.
Argentina.
Yeah,
Bezos.
Yeah.
He's busy.
He seems like he's kind of just effed off. He's just like, I'm going to sell some stock. And
he's like buried his face in some fake tits and selling stock. He doesn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah. He seems like he is 100% checked out.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of respect him for that. At least he's being honest. He's not trying to, create some air of, maybe he is, but he's definitely not flaunting it as much as others. That he's just so great and has to do all these things for the world. Like, fucking Bill Gates and his foundation. Get out of here. You funded graphene condoms.
Like,
Elon Musk.
So that the brown people wouldn't be making as many babies in the poor countries.
Yeah.
Bill Gates is a weird dude.
Yeah,
he's a weird dude.
He's very strange. You ever see that video where he jumps over the chair during the interview?
Yeah.
He's like, look what I could do.
So I must say, not only has Bezos gotten a super hot fake wife, he's also ripped.
But is he married? There's no way he'll get married again.
Yeah, he can't marry her.
He'll never marry anybody, ever. Not after his wife divorced him at the top.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Stole half his money.
Yeah.
best trader of all time.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah. How much did you get paid per hour for being his wife?
No, not enough, I would
Well, no,
imagine.
with the divorce, that's how much you got paid. So it was enough. Let me tell you.
He's the greatest trader of all time. I mean, find a better
Bezos?
one. No, Bezos' wife.
The Fed.
You
Yeah.
asshole.
Yeah,
Although
speaking
they're
of
probably
which,
regretting it
when can the
now.
Fed buy securities again?
They could
I
probably
don't
do
know.
it now, but the thing is, they have to make a statement saying we don't see any ethical dilemma with it anymore. That was all just smoke and mirrors.
I mean, they're not going to buy the top.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
Gates
exactly.
visited the guy with the island a lot of times. Listen, everyone visited him. Everybody with money. That's how he
Yeah.
got away with what he did for so long. Was because he was extremely well connected. There was nobody that didn't go to that fucking island. It's like the fly lists are like a veritable who's who of the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah. No, it was
That
like,
doesn't
and the
mean
thing was,
they all participated in child sex trafficking. It just means that he had a lot of big parties full of rich, influential people on his weird, pervy island.
yeah, and like, so you could like be at that party and you just notice like, hey, where did such and such go? He went into another room. Ah, well, he's probably taking a shit.
Yeah. Or like, hey, that waitress looks awfully young. You know, I don't know how it went down. I wasn't there.
You sure about that, Gerg?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. It's before my time.
Uh,
Recused. Anyway, somebody wants to know about the Mag 7. So, Apple looks like it's kind of still free to sell calls on out of the money. Resistance at 75, support at 170. Choppy still. Not a lot of delta building up on it. Delta falling off of it. Meh. Yeah, Apple still looks meh. You guys wanna pick up some of the slack on this? Help me out here. What about AMD?
Nvidia looks like it's kind of topping out. It's got a bit of a head and shoulders going on.
That's technical though. I'm talking about options.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, Nvidia. I
Nvidia
don't
does
know.
look
I don't
kind
know
of
how to
shitty.
call it. It does look like it flattened out this week, but it's definitely very Vega sensitive to both directions. So I don't know which way it's going to move.
AMD still looks kind of shitty, but it's also just consolidating. So that one, I wouldn't say there's anything to that either.
what about
I haven't.
Meta?
Meta? Yeah.
Meta has looked like shit for a few weeks now. But it's like I don't want to short it.
Yeah.
Apparently nobody does.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Delta's just been falling off of it for months now. And I think it's just like everyone's so deep in the money already that they're just slowly taking profits. But yeah, I mean, call interest has been declining since like Feb 16th, Feb 15th. And it's stayed pretty flat though, throughout that period of time. It's traded between like 480 and 500. I guess like 520. So like a $40 range for the last 2 months.
I mean, Delta neutral is only $120 away.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the problem there, right? Is like it never really falls into a range where price action can continue dropping. Also, Meta's kind of like Microsoft. Like it's just really old, established tech. It doesn't tend to be super influenced by the options positioning on it. It's another big like passive investment baby.
Yeah,
Right?
I would honestly just say if you're looking to short it, if that's what you're after, I would just wait until it's under gamma neutral. It's just too. This environment is too removed from any technicals or fundamentals
If it goes below gamma neutral, we're in a fucking bear market. That's like 30%.
Yeah. That'd be a big drop.
Yeah.
I would say that if it falls under like 463, it might start seeing slightly faster downside.
Right?
But
Isn't there a
but
gap
but
down to
with the
400?
reduced like call interest and the reduced delta, it's similar to Apple, right? Like it's moderately safe to sell calls against. Um but it's definitely not like safe to short.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just really hard to do much here.
AMD kind of looks like shit. But not enough. Again, not enough is falling off. Amazon just looks fine. Like nothing really bad's happening. Nothing good's happening, but nothing bad either.
What about our
Google's
little googly poo? Yeah.
Google. Hold on, let me pull up Google because Google's been weird lately.
Google looks
I
kind
think
of
I might be
bullish.
ready to go short Google.
Really? It looks kind of
Yeah,
bullish to me. Oh, yeah, I think you're right. Actually, I think you might be right on that. That makes
yeah,
sense because
Google's just the most just from a business perspective, it's like what are they gonna do?
yeah. It's definitely the one that people have the least confidence in, which is surprising because Apple's doing way worse. Um, but yeah, it looks like the positive sentiment surrounding the Apple deal and stuff is starting to die down, and interest is pulling back a little bit. And Google tends to reverse quickly, though. It's not like the other ones. So I would say I might just sell like some calls against it.
I think Google is honestly like it's the ugly stepchild of this whole process, right? So they're going to get punished harder for not meeting AI expectations than other companies, but they're also probably going to be rewarded harder in the event that they do meet those sorts of expectations, right? They're just kind of the whipping boy of the market right now.
Yeah, well, I mean the whole recent run on Google was all like, oh yay, Apple's gonna use this, right? And then sometime around here, people were like, wait, Apple sucks. Right? And so now we've got this, which is like, it hasn't gone limp yet, but it's close. I would say that if it breaks back under 150, it's going to lose a substantial amount of its current support. And then, then it might start to trend back down a
What
bit. But it
about
could be really
Tesla?
slow. Tesla
Doesn't
looks like
Tesla's quarter
garbage.
numbers, their delivery numbers come out today?
Oh, do
Or
they?
tomorrow?
Tomorrow, maybe? I don't know. Tesla still looks like garbage.
Yeah, that one might be a fun one.
Yeah,
If
that
they're
one.
because their quarter numbers are supposed to be lower than last year.
Well, their input cost should be higher, yeah, and their sales should be down again because they're getting their fucking ass kicked in China.
Oh yeah, dude, the Naomi or whatever that car is called looks pretty slick.
Is it the BYD one?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a direct competitor in China, and it just looks infinitely better.
We had like a little bit of a bounce off of the low, and Tesla broke up. It broke up through delta neutral finally, and then failed horribly and rejected back down into the end of the week. So it looks like back to looks like it's headed back to like 65, 60. I would say in the short term. Always got to be careful with Tesla though, because the Friday bulls. But yeah, Tesla doesn't look so hot. Did we miss any?
Nvidia. Did we talk about Nvidia?
Yeah,
A
Microsoft.
little bit. Microsoft. I don't even want to look at their options interest because it just never changes.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Actually,
touch them. They're too volatile with OpenAI announcements and stuff. All they have to do is just like spread any sort of like bullshit, like they did this week with they're designing $100 billion server farm. It's like they could say something like that at any time and just boom,
You're not wrong. I mean the options, like a bunch of the bot calls fell off on Friday. Adjusted delta dropped negative. Which
Yeah, I mean
kind
the
of
market still looks like It still looks terrible, right? In
Yeah, but
general.
we don't know the effect of the announcement over the weekend, right? So that could change. I wouldn't rely too much on Microsoft doing anything to the downside right now. I kind of agree with you. And yeah, I mean it's the same problem with Nvidia. You just can't anticipate random news coming out that's suddenly super bullish. Yeah, we could check out Square.
Yeah, and then after that, I'm gonna have to drop off. My
Okay.
my family wants me to
do stuff.
be a dad again.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, Nvidia doesn't look that hot. If it loses this 900 level, it's probably going to head back down to that like 880, 850 support range again. And this time it'll be retesting, or it'll be testing gamma neutral for the first time in, holy shit, it's been a while, since like Jan. That's really interesting, actually. Yeah, call interest has been falling off. Put interest is picking up. Yeah, Nvidia doesn't look so hot. So that 900 880 level is pretty important to watch. All right, let's have JFresh get in his S&P prediction before he heads out.
You know what it's gonna be?
Was a flat line?
Yep.
You son of a bitch.
I was thinking it was a straight line 4,300.
I should have never gone against it.
Probably not.
I think we're in the very, very slow turning around a phase of this, whatever this is. Where positioning is pulling back, but price hasn't yet. And so I think we're kind of like suspended in midair as we change directions.
I will say, in my experience in the past, that period of time is not always very slow. Sometimes it happens rather quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of me thinks it's either going to happen very quickly, or it's just going to be this violent chop down, and there will be no relief to the upside, so that the people, everybody's so lopsided. Like, there's no way everybody can get out and make money. It just isn't possible.
Yeah. All right. Did I brag yet about winning last week?
You did. You
okay.
did. You
okay,
can do it.
good.
Yeah.
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 Well, just what the fuck is that?
Technically, you were wrong. The point's down there.
I don't know what that is. Oh, that's because I had to move it in because I had an extra day.
Ah.
Yeah. Anyway,
well done.
Yeah, that was pretty spot on. I didn't think we were gonna move that much though. All right, I'll see you later, JFresh. Have a good one, man.
Yeah, thanks. Always fun.
All right, Dork.
It's my turn?
Yeah.
Should I actually go for a real prediction this time?
I think so. You know why? Because C-Mill gets super pissy if we don't take these seriously.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Hold on a sec. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. We gap down into open. Let's see. Hold on. Let me think about basis points here. Okay, we gap down into open at 52.40. And we retest 52.50 by close. So just close at 52.50 on Monday. Okay. And then just open the next day flat, just to keep things simple. At 52.50. Close Tuesday at 52.20. No, yeah, 20. And then next day we just open flat once again for simplicity's sake, and then we test 5,000 middle of the day. Or no, sorry, not 5,000. 5,200 middle of the day.
Ooh.
And then we violently bounced back to 5,240 by end of day.
All right.
And from here, I want you into Friday to draw a straight line down to how many days left? 3, so 5,100.
Interesting.
If we have a shadow of a doubt showing up with such an overcrowded trade, it's going to get ugly quick, and I'm just going to go ahead and assume that happens.
Yeah, I think PCE was bad, but I think Powell's gonna kind of save that a bit. I think we have a lot of labor data this week, right?
Do we?
Yeah, I think we have jolts. Yeah, we do. We have jolts. We have ADP. We have non-farm. We have PMIs also.
All this data.
Yeah, we got ISM PMI on Wednesday.
So we got a bunch of Fed speakers after jolts and factory orders. So I'm wondering if they're going to be bad.
Yeah.
So they're all getting paraded out. After
I mean, that's pretty common following the FOMC decision too, though. I don't know how tied together that is. I think jobs data is still going to be good, and I think that's super fucking bullish on the dollar. So I think we probably open flat tomorrow. I think we could probably trade up into Wednesday. Down.
Look, Mr. Madman, I may be ignoring data, but it's irrelevant in my predictions anyways. It's not only irrelevant in my predictions, it is irrelevant to the entire equity market.
Oh, what did I do there?
Little gap up?
Sure. Just because I fucked it. Just because I fucked it up. Yeah.
All right, color those up so I can put it in the SPX chat.
All right.
For some reason, people actually care about these things.
There we go.
All right. There we go. All right, you force. Let's get you guys.
So I didn't sell any spreads going into Friday. I just straddled because I didn't know how PCE was going to come in, and we didn't know what JPOW was going to say. So the risk of selling spreads seemed a little too high. So no wide condor or anything like that. And I closed out most of my positions on the long and short side over the course of this week, with the bull debits finally going in the money on Friday, about Thursday, Friday.
What's the premium like on those credit spreads these days? It's got to be shitty.
It's not great. I didn't sell any Friday, so I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, usually I'll sell something like outside of my straddle range to offset the decay, but I've been buying more theta on the straddle anyway, so I don't really need to do that. Bull put for like Friday, say you sold like a 50-25, would have been like 800 credit. For the 3-day weekend.
Yeah, right. And I'm just like, that's a lot of risk weekend.
Yeah, I mean, even if you went further out, you did like narrowed the spread, so you did like a 40-30. Still like it's like 30% return on risk. It's not terrible, but it's not the kind of payout I'd want for taking on the risk of like PCE, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your risk appetite's got to be pretty decent to be going for that.
If they'd been like 40 45%. Even like at the money, I might have been a little happier with that. Yeah, I guess if you did like a 50-45, you would have gotten like 220 on Friday, which wouldn't have been too bad.
Yeah, I mean it's a little more easily hedgeable too. You know?
Yeah.
So still just gross in my mind thinking of the spreads right now. Just seem gross with everyone and their mother doing it.
I'm pretty sure that given how cheap options have been this past week, that and like realized vol being so low, that like long options is just slightly better. But we've been trading flat a lot intraday, so it's still good to short options intraday, but overnight I like the long options overnight and into the end of the day.
I mean, yeah, like honestly, debit spreads, you know, as a form of insurance, seem like the best trade at this current point in time.
Yeah, they're nice.
You know, bull debits probably okay, bear debits probably okay, but the problem is the market's trading super flat. So you look at that and you're like, I'm basically just entering a pain trade. So it really would just be a hedge on the long position with the bear debit spread.
You can butterfly them.
You could, but I mean, you know, once again, you're still betting on the market not being flat, which the only way to benefit or the only way to come out of that okay is if you have a long position attached to it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just a gross time to be trying to, you know, swing trade options. I mean, you could short the volatility, but like the tails are so fat and the risk is like it's just so overcrowded and the risk is so concentrated that like I mean, like you could do it and you make money. I mean, it's what people are doing, right? Like the thing is you may know it's bad, but the problem is the opportunity cost of sitting out of that trade is also shitty because like the yields are fucking decent. So it's all just a big fat shit fest.
I mean, I feel like with our current analysis, by the time the day starts, we have a pretty good idea if we can sell some fat spreads or not, and safely, right?
Yeah.
Like the positioning, once the positioning's on the chain and the morning vol settles out, it's pretty obvious where you can sell stuff.
Yeah, barring any weird events happening, which they usually don't.
Yeah. Even Friday, I wasn't selling any calls above 25, right? Because it was like we were right there at the break point, and it was just like if we broke 25, it would still be bullish into end of day. So I mean, it was pretty easy to just avoid that pitfall. It was actually harder to avoid. It was harder to avoid the long puts because the potential was so great, right? Like if we broke 20, we were just going to 5,200.
Yeah, for sure.
So the promise of that payout was enticing, but or not Friday. I'm sorry, Wednesday night. It was Wednesday, I think. Right, no, Thursday. Yeah, it was Thursday. Thursday was the day we rocketed into close.
No, it was Wednesday because we Good Friday.
Oh, was it Wednesday?
Yeah, when the short
Friday. Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. No trading. Yeah, okay. I was right the first time. Yeah, Wednesday.
Well, when you said those price levels, I knew which day you're talking about. Yeah, no, and that's the biggest issue. Like if you like playing the downside right now is because it's such a tight range that we're stuck in with the short vol. Like it's going to be fought for. Like not only are we going to see the closing, you know, short calls and you know selling more puts, but like if it gets gnarly, like slightly gnarly, we're just going to see what we saw on fucking Wednesday. You know.
I mean, I think this week I'm gonna try something out where I just stick to the long side, but I only enter when I see the short puts getting only enter when I see the short calls being bought back.
Right. Well, you'd see call volume increase and then potentially volume increase. That's the confirmation.
Yeah, just scalp the momentum on the reversals.
Yeah, it might not be bad to do that with debit spreads though, in case it takes a while, because sometimes it'll just bear flag for the rest of the fucking day.
Yeah, I know. I've gotten stuck in that. You drop from like 50 down to 25, and then you're like, I'm gonna buy a 50, and then it bear flags for 6 hours.
Yeah, it's fucking worst.
Yep.
Well, have we covered everything we want to cover? Should I talk more about the great financial circle jerk? I could rant about that all day.
Oh no, we don't have to. We don't have to talk about any more cum crackers. I mean, I know Jayfresh is a little busy, but I was gonna say that we're getting pretty close to some exciting stuff in the pickle universe.
Yeah.
We've made
we're doing stuff.
we are doing stuff, and we've made some steps towards that stuff recently.
Yeah,
I don't know if we're ready to tell people what any of that stuff is, but it's cool. Right? Yeah. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, we have cool stuff that we're making, and it's cool. That's about all I feel like saying about
it. Well, I sure like being teased. Excellent. That's a really good. I'm glad that you're in that place. Is it gonna cost me money? Absolutely.
Yes, it will.
Tell us more. We're creating something to make all of you less annoying.
Yeah, and it's not just cool it's not just going to be cool for you. It's also very cool for us too. Like it's a mutually cool thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Will it make me a better trader? No. No, it won't. But hopefully it will inform your decision making, which is the best that we can do. Is it Gherk AI? Fuck, he figured it out.
God damn it. Gherk GPT, the surprise is ruined.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Scrap
waifu.
Scrap the LLM. Just stick with the waifu model. We'll make more money on OnlyFans.
Yeah, dork waifu, they still haven't figured out yet. So
do you need a scrum master to manage this? Will the AI be nicer? Yeah.
Well, it depends, right? We'll work on the tokenization.
Yeah. Well, it only answers in yes and no's, so
it's perfect for you yes/no contract traders in that regard.
Can I make the AI meaner? Does it update somewhat close to real time?
That's maybe a great question.
Take my money.
I don't even know what it is yet. God, I love the pickle jar.
Still looking for a full stack dev? I don't know.
Nah, not really currently, but at some point
we might be. Yeah, at some point.
See how stacky we get. See how stacked we are.
How many stacks? Stacks on stacks? Will it give us an edge on our cooking? Yes.
Actually, yes.
Yeah, it does.
It'll be fun. We got some fun stuff. I like it. I think that whatever it ends up being, when we decide we want to tell you about it, you guys are gonna like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everyone's gonna just. If you think the rich people are coming on the AI cracker hard, wait till the poor's get a wind of this.
Oh yeah. Oh man, we're the ones selling the crackers now.
Will it crash more or less than BNAD? BNAD's uptime's been pretty good lately, hasn't it?
BNAD only crashed the one time it touched my cost basis, and then the other time that I was green on it.
Yeah, BNAD's been climbing out of its hole pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's giving me a little bit of optimism, but I'm sure there's going to be some article that says, like, some shareholders sold 100 shares and it's going to drop 60%. It's probably going to be you. You're the one who sold 100 shares, and they're going to write a Motley Fool article about it, and then it's just going to go to zero.
Large options interest at the $1 strike.
Most likely sold calls.
I just sold 750 calls.
Fuck you, Gherk. I hope you get blown out when you do that the next time it touches $1.
How do
I hope the market maker wrings you dry.
It was so great last time it touched $1. I don't want to say this, but I'm probably partially responsible for whatever the fuck that was.
We were about 7 cents above my cost basis for a total of, I want to say, like a minute and a half, and then instantly drop back down.
Yep. You're welcome. I just wanted to make sure that you had time to get on board the rocket ship.
Like, I've never, like, I was literally, like, I had the order set to sell, like, 3 or 4, $1 calls. And then I look at it and just the fucking bid just drops through the floor. And I'm like, well, I guess these are worthless again.
I did find some liquidity. Now, I just want to say that back here, when I DM'd you, and I was like, Dork, I'm selling in the money calls, there was a good 30-minute window for you to also sell in the money calls.
You see, the thing was on that day, I specifically remember I was in a meeting, like an important meeting, and I just see the price of BNet just start tanking.
Yep.
I was helpless. And it happened in a single day. Just no halts, no nothing, just straight down.
What are you guys thinking of on timing for the platform release? Platform? You mean my large language model? It's just going to be the Sunday stream, but AI generated.
Every day.
Every day. All day.
Yeah, not 24/7 actually.
And we're going to slap Bookmap in the background.
Yeah, we're going to have like a
so far our prompt is
bottom with advertisers.
3 ambiguously gay quants argue over who's the most bearish for 3 hours. And it generates the conversation just from that.
It's great. It's going to be fantastic. I mean, timing wise, I don't know. Fuck, it could be anywhere from like 6 months out. I don't fucking know.
It could be like
Yeah,
there'll be more information in the next 3 months, guaranteed.
Yeah, we got a lot to figure out still.
There will be something there within hopefully the next 4, and then there'll be something there for everybody probably before the end of the year.
That sounds realistic to me.
Yeah, and hopefully we can beat all those timelines, but I'm trying to be as conservative as possible.
Well, it's one of those things, like we unlike AI, we have a roadmap.
So a massive upgrade.
But yeah, we have to sum it all up, we may have found a way to help you guys make more money. Maybe, if you're not stupid. If you're stupid, we can't do anything.
They can't make money. We've already established that after 3 years.
Well, you could feel like you're making more money. How about that?
You could feel more informed about your decisions to lose money.
Your very terrible decisions.
Yeah. You can know that you lost money and it was entirely your own fault with nothing else to blame it on.
I love it. Yeah, no, it will make the stream way less annoying because
and for all of you former pigeon whales, just remember the current pigeon whales are getting first dibs.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah.
No, it's fun. I'm excited. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Fuck. We got 2 of them. That's what mattered.
Oh no, they're gonna sign back up for pigeon. This is actually all just a big giant shill for you to get more pigeon whales.
Ooh, I didn't even think of that. That's genius. Oh, I need to create a countdown timer, and if you're like not a pigeon whale by the time the timer runs out, you can't get on board.
Oh man, a grift inside a grift. I love it.
Dude, I need to be more grifty. I'm just so bad at it. Creating a new account now.
Yeah, no, you're a terrible grifter. You're an awful shill. Not gonna lie, you're pretty bad at it.
It's mostly because
Like,
I'm disillusioned with everything, and
well,
I'm cynical.
Your biggest mistake was you made another tier up that's $100 a month, and the only benefit it provides is being able to tag everybody in a channel that most people mute.
That's not true. It makes you one of my best friends.
I don't know if that says more about the subscription or you.
Yeah. How much is Pigeon Whale? I quit unsubbing immediately. I don't know how much Pigeon Whale is. What is it? It's $100, right?
Yeah, it's $100. It hasn't even been scaled up with inflation. You guys are getting a killer deal.
No, but it's cool. It's cool. I mean, I think we have a pretty noble mission, and I think we're gonna accomplish it. And it's the first time I've really felt like we were close to accomplishing that, and I want to talk about it a little bit because it's so awesome. Even though I can't tell you guys what that is, which makes it sound like a video game pre-release party. Well, it is.
I'm sure you guys will figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah. The pickle jar, when they unanimously put their minds to something.
They'll figure it out.
Never mind.
I mean, several people figured out BNED, within the first few days of us talking about it. So
yeah, and then several other people bought Rig.
I'm still waiting for people to find out what our secret $25 stock is.
Oh, a couple people figured it out. I think NW figured it out one time.
NW and I think Poopy.
Poopy knows. Poopy knows because I told him.
Yeah, well, we were talking with him about it while we were researching it.
Yeah, I needed him to fucking get me information.
Yeah, which I don't know. I kind of want to sell it, but it just keeps going up.
Yeah, that makes it difficult, but it won't go up forever.
It's up like 20% in the past 3 weeks.
I know. I've been wanting to sell for some time now.
I mean, you have enough to sell covered calls on it, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would honestly just sell a shit ton of vol on it while it's up here. Just full port, fucking at the money, in the money cover calls, and then collect your premium, and then sell out at a decent cost basis. Makes sense.
It's Maxer satellites? What is? The secret stock? No, it's not. It's super fucking boring. But me and Dork, I was drunk and he was probably really high one night. And we started a CRE conspiracy theory and started digging into shit, and we found a bunch of connections in the insurance industry that led back to this one company, and we bought a fuck ton of it, and it's just rocketed ever since.
Yeah. No, we got in at a really good time.
Yeah.
And where it's at now, its PE is still reasonable, but
I wouldn't buy it now.
It's just long term, it's not a very winning investment. If you ask me, 10 years down the road, it's probably going to be a fucking piece of shit company.
You guys gave it away by talking about the dividend one time. Oh yeah, we did. That's right. We did tell everybody the day we got our dividend payouts.
Those dividends were really good, but now they suck. They were.
You were like, I'm gonna get a chicken quesadilla, and I was like, I'm gonna buy a car.
I think both of those things actually happened too. Yeah, no, it's the dividends.
The dividends have gotten worse.
Yeah,
but
they're fixed now,
but the price of the stock keeps going up, so it may not be
inflation.
Well, it is a form of inflation, or at least they benefit from a form of inflation. Anyway, all this cryptic talking is making me feel like a Redditor.
Yeah. feel like I'm back on Supersonic and I'm trying to write a DD that says nothing.
We're gonna build a data platform that's gonna blow your goddamn socks off, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, there we go. That's. I mean, really, that's about it. It's gonna be better than anything out there.
That's because you are a Redditor, but I'm not a mod. And that's what matters. Yeah. Oh, wait, no, I am a mod. I think I'm a mod of my own subreddit. Fuck.
Way to go, Gert. You're part of the problem.
Better than Lauer. That's not even a hurdle. He just reappropriates SEC data.
Yeah, no, we're making some cool shit. It's fun. We're just having a lot of fun. We're adventuring. We have like a plan and some ideas. We're gonna make those happen. But the cool thing has been the friends we've made along the way and the stuff we found along the way to just make it even cooler.
And the money don't forget the money we've blown up testing bullshit strategies.
Oh yeah, that's been fun too. It's been your money, so I've had a lot of fun with that. So yeah, we're finding fun stuff, and I'm sure it'll give you guys a lot more reasons to bitch on the Discord. So you guys will love it.
Yep. Sprint off the product to Tom Nash's platform. Who the fuck is that?
Tom Nash? Is he he sounds like a drummer who was famous back in the 80s.
It's got a Chad name, Nash.
No, that's what I'm saying. He was a famous drummer back in the 80s. That's my canon. He was in Toto.
Can we lose money with it? You can't not lose money with it. Because it's a paid. It's a paid. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you will inherently lose money with it on the front end, and on the back end, when you make decisions with it, you'll lose more money. So it's a win-win for you. Just don't lose so much money that you can't pay for it anymore, okay? That makes
even just data aggregation for retail would be incredible. Something like Coinfin Bloomberg for options trading. I love losing money. Awesome. Oh shit! I think my food's here. All right, I gotta go.
Yeah, let's drop off. It's been fun. Yep. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Dork. I appreciate it. Guys, if you have any questions, hit me up on the Discord. I'll be around for the rest of the day. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll see you later. Bye.